Hi, thanks for tuning in today. I hope you'll stick around for today's tutorial painting these peonies in a watering can. Today I'm using my SeimiArt and Sonnet watercolors, my size 6 round brush. I have my watercolor palette, 2 jars of water, one for rinsing and one for painting. This is my 300 GSM watercolor paper by B Paper Company, and I also have a clean cloth for dabbing any mistakes or puddles and also for blotting my brush. Let's get started. So I want to start today with some abstract poppies, and I just want to keep these really loose, and got a little something in my paint there. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm just gonna go in and create some abstract puddles, just these centers, and I'm just kind of pressing down and lifting. Let's see, where do I want this? Just making sure these are really juicy, really puddly, okay? And I don't have a particular rhyme or reason, although I like to keep the arrangement a bit, gosh, what is the word? I just don't want it round. I like it a bit triangular. I like to keep it a bit, I cannot think of what the word is. Well, in the meantime, let me just explain what I'm doing here. I've taken some water on my brush, and I'm just touching the very tip of my brush, my wet brush, to some of these centers, and just in a very abstract way, I'm letting those centers I've already done, that pigment is just kind of bleeding out into the water that I'm just gently touching there. So fun. These are just delightful to paint. Want to kind of move quickly. And no big deal if some of them touch, flowers touch in arrangements. It's really okay. If you see, though, that you maybe worked with a center that was kind of dry, you can go and nudge some of that pigment, and that'll help that along too. Okay, just to go ahead and get some greens started. Now I'm going to be careful not to really touch these reds. They're very, very wet, and so I don't want my greens to bleed into that. So I'm just gonna brush some little, and I find I like to do this while my reds are drying because it does kind of help to reserve some places for the leaves. Whereas sometimes if I wait, then sometimes I really have covered all the areas that would be ideal for having some leaves. So that's pretty good for now. I could go in and do some stems, but I really don't want to because I want to come back and do another layer of these petals. So I've done these poppies before quite a few times on my channel. They are just fun. Okay, and I love these. I love how in several of these I have a nice edge for that first layer, that first inner circle for the poppies that kind of bled out, but it left me with this darkened edge, which to me looks like another layer of petals. So I like that it did that. And can I ever replicate that again? Probably not, because this is one of those mysterious watercolor things. I just don't always have the right timing. I think it often comes down to that, but but that is totally okay. So I'm still letting those dry. I do want to just go ahead and go in with my Payne's Gray, and I'm doing that because these reds need a bit of time to dry, but see how this is just a spectacular color for a metal watering can. It's just so good. So I'm just brushing down. I'm okay with leaving some white, you know, just some untinted, but I want to work kind of quickly, get this in there kind of quickly, and go ahead and add a bit of a darker shadow over here. I've got a little bit of something in that paint, like a little fiber or something. That happens. But so I'm just kind of blending this all. See if I can remove that, whatever it is. Okay, and maybe one more bit of that for a bit more shadow. Just kind of, okay. And this doesn't have to be perfect, but I like to have some dark areas, and I feel like I'm going to need to blend a bit over here on this right side. But this is kind of a weathered tin, and you know, it's okay if it's not altogether perfect. Now, for this handle, I like to go in and just kind of outline it. And I tend to outline the bottom shadow areas. And then I just go in and just fill with water. I rinsed my brush, but you know, I didn't worry about doing it super thoroughly. And then when that's a bit drier, I can go in and darken that shadow just a little. I have no idea what that's going to look like because I feel like every time I'm adding a bit more pigment, I really am putting more water in there. So we'll just see. I want to do another layer of these delightful petals. I don't want to overdo it, but what I want to do is just go where, you know, I kind of don't really have anything. And I like to make some of these little slashy kind of marks too. Now, sometimes I don't do very many of these at a time because I want to be able to work while these are wet as well, and I want to be able to soften these with water. So that's just how I like to do it. It's something to play with. So this is kind of like my initial layer. It's just that I'm now kind of doing these petals, sort of. So I just am going to go and take some water and touch to those, which still should preserve that first and second soft layer. Just barely touching this water to it because you just don't want to lose everything. Oh, I love it. It may not look like much, but I just can tell it's going in a very good direction. So okay, one more pass with just some water. I make sure not to have any beads of water up on the metal ferrule part of my brush so I don't get any surprise globs of water, hopefully. Love that. These could even pass for roses, I think, or peonies. They were supposed to be poppies, but they are definitely giving peony vibes to me right now. And I love all this weathering, so I'm happy with how that turned out. I think I'll go ahead and just add some water here at the base of my watering can. And while I'm doing that, let me just tell you, the reason that my watering can does not have a spout is because I can't figure that out. And yes, I need to look at some references because I can't figure out what to do there. I tried one yesterday. I was just drawing it in, and let's just say it wasn't good. It was not good. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take a bit of this water off after rinsing it and just do a little blending. This already has some water that I brushed in, so just kind of push that. Yeah, I like it. Okay, my flowers are still a bit wet, so I'll be back in a second. Okay, so those are mostly dry, and I feel good about going in there with just a few stems. So yeah, one of the cheats, just to do kind of a quicker, I don't really know if it's quicker, to fill the container that you have your florals in, rather than doing stems and water. I mean, I went back so many times for that to kind of balance the shadows and whatnot. So it could theoretically be quicker, but it kind of was not for me today. Okay, and just remembering that not every flower has to have a stem. Oh yeah, I quite love it. That's really cute. It's really fun. I'm going to go ahead and take a bit of this Payne's Gray, do a bit more shadow. So just kind of, you know, on these undersides. But I want to work kind of quickly because I don't want to leave that just, I don't want it that harsh, so I want to blend it with some water, and we'll see if I got to that soon enough. I also think that the handle itself could just be a little darker. So I just took a little more pigment onto that. Okay, I like it. It's a funny handle, but it's fun. And I was kind of going for some, I don't know, whimsy maybe. And, you know, I could add some other little multi-leaf stems and whatnot, but I really kind of like the simplicity of this today, so I think I may just kind of leave it, other than putting some yellow in these centers. And I just am going to dot. I'm not going to just obliterate the white, but just some little dotting in there. Gosh, I like it. Really cute, really fun, and so easy. This was really a simple one. I think I spent more energy on fussing over that, over the watering can and my spoutless watering can, which kind of just solved that by having some flower in the foreground. So now, what's that you say? Where's the spout? Exactly. It doesn't have to make sense. It does not. I realize I'm cheaping out on that. It's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm just For some cohesiveness, I'm just brushing in a few more of these, you know, similar strokes to what I've put in there. Yeah, I like it. Sweet and cute, easy. Very, very easy, very simple. So, thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed it. I'd love to know if you paint this. And as always, happy painting.